think it would be like level 3 or 4, if you get into something like that.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Today we are meeting number 470. Thank you for being here. My name is Chirag Mapara and I'm Sergeant of Arms. We'll start with, we have a guest, Wai Ling, is that right?
Yes. Hi. Nice to meet you.
So our
Hi.
president, yeah, hi. Our president will introduce you, but just wanted to say hi. So we just started a few minutes late. So just some ground rules. Please silence your cell phones and mobile devices. And if you have to get up, do so quietly or so that we are not disturbing the speakers. And with that, I'll introduce our president, Alexei.
Thank you. So allow me to start another meeting. Everybody is welcome, and I believe we have guests, right? Guest? Yeah. Oh, what's?
It's probably because the microphone, you probably have to turn toward it for me.
Oh.
She didn't hear you.
Oh, I can hear you very clear. No
Okay.
worry.
So
Yeah.
welcome to the meeting. So just few introductory words, and after that, if you don't mind, just introduce yourself and tell us about you. So we start another meeting. This is Toastmasters meeting. Everybody's welcome. We have a rare guest. Alex came to visit us. Great. He managed this club very well for quite a long time, and we really hope to see him often. Out of club activities, there was a request to submit a plan, development plan, growth plan for this club with a promise to provide $30 in reward to the club. That's what I did last Sunday. Unfortunately, email server was down and another person just confirmed. So I sent it directly to the person that requested, submitted this request. Hopefully our club will get this wonderful $30, thanks to me. Right? Yeah, I'm just thinking about politics in the future. Promote myself. All right, with all said, let's start the meeting. This is another meeting, believe very productive. We are looking forward, Melissa, to your presentation. That's a new one for us. Yeah, just out of the ordinary. And you're welcome. Can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little about yourself and what you're looking for in this.
Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm Wai Ling. This is my second time joining this club. I have signed up online, but I haven't got my invoice yet. So I hope to become a member of this club. I'm a researcher. I'm here to practice my communication skills. Nice to meet you.
You're in the good company. That's what. You're welcome.
Thank you.
So I pass the word. Who is the Toastmasters today? Chris. Chris, you're welcome.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Alexei. President. We have a great meeting tonight. I'm excited for Melissa's speech. We did a little switcheroo with the platform to have slides available up here on the flat screen behind us. Wai Ling, welcome to our session tonight, and we will be sure to make sure that you get next steps on joining our club. We'd love to have you virtually or in person every week. It's a lot of fun. We get uncomfortable and then we get more comfortable over time. Very supportive bunch of professionals that we have here, and there's always some new faces that are joining us. So with that, I wanted to welcome back Alex Sandoval. He was our club president for some time. He joined us several years back. He has a tremendous life story. We've been through the ups and the downs and everything with Alex, but he's an incredible individual, charismatic, and he has one of his passions is to inspire young people in this community and around the world with his story of resilience and his story of growth. And so that's something we can all learn from. So Alex, come on up here. tell us real quick why you came back to Toastmasters tonight and what you've been up to.
You smile for the camera.
Sure. What do the fighters do? They go like this, right?
Yeah, like this.
Like this, do this, like this real quick.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, Mike, this is the big match in Vegas tomorrow night, so.
I'm intimidated by it.
Finish the way.
Come on, take the picture, Tom.
Got it, I got it.
Okay, good, okay. All right.
Hello, Toastmasters. Hello, guest. It's just good to be back. I just wanted to stop by and say hello. It's been good. I've been still doing the public speaking thing and motivational speaking, but I just want to come back because you can't forget where you came from. A lot of my confidence came from this room. And it's just good to see Shirag, Chris, Tom, even Ray, Melissa, Maria, all the normal faces I would usually see. But everything's good, just moving ahead. I kind of took that leap on doing the motivational thing and trying to promote my business, which is like motivational speaking, fitness training, and clothing apparel. I got to go back to the drawing board and figure some stuff out. But like Chris said, I'm resilient and I will not quit. So yeah, it's good to be back. I'm looking forward to this meeting. And yeah, I'll be evaluating Alexi's speech. So thank you for having me back.
All right, thank you, Alex. Welcome back, sir. Appreciate that. Hopefully you all got the reminder for this week's meeting. I'd like to put a little bit of knowledge in there and something to think about. I talked once again about that story-worthy book by Matthew Dix. There were some really good things that I picked up last several nights, and there are 3 tips that I want to start out the meeting. And storytelling is a way to connect with our audience. It's a way to convey a very simple idea into something that resonates deeply with those that are listening to us. So what are some technical things that we can do? Well, one is, if you think about a good story and you have an ending, you have something that's like that ending, that last, that quintessential 5 seconds of change. But you're like, where do I start? Where should I start the story? Well, it's very reasonable and logical to understand that you end a story somewhere, but you begin it in a complete opposite sense, right? So let's give an example. Maybe Alex it's not been a secret about your past and where you came from, right? So we can see you as the glorified public speaker, entrepreneur, fitness guru, jujitsu champion and whatnot, but maybe it's judo, jujitsu. But what was the opposite of that? That's what made your story so compelling, right? Being on the streets, being an addict, right? An alcoholic and things like that. And you publicly shared that with us. But that metamorphosis over time is powerful. Or Tom, he was nervous a long time ago about a mock court trial, mute court trial that you had in law school. The opposite of that is you actually doing services and remembrance services for those that you care for, or being the officiant at a wedding, having that confidence, and actually full circle, us going to represent and speak on behalf of the character of Alex Sandoval in court in front of a judge to actually conquer his dragon, to conquer his fear. So think about whatever your story is, it has to have change over time. And the way to start it is the exact opposite of how you want to end it. That's a good quick tip. Number 2. The second thing is start at the end. So Matthew Dix talks about trying to compress the story. So I could talk about Nashville and things like that, but do I have to say everything that happened over a month or weeks? Sometimes a movie like Ocean's 11 is just about a couple hours before the heist, right? Things are compressed and there's details and they're moving around the timeline. So think about strategically, what can you cut out? Is something I'm going to tell the audience relevant? Is it necessary for them to know something? Or can I cut it away and start even closer to my end point? The third thing that I picked up last night that I thought was interesting is like any good movie or story, you generally want to start with movement. So how many movies have you seen where they're panning over a city or there's some action scene or something going on? You're right in the middle of it. It gives the story momentum from the beginning. And then you can pan out and say, what really happened here over the story arc? Okay. So if you have an ending, think about the opposite, which should be your logical beginning. If you can, cut out all the fluff and the excess in the beginning and start as close to the end as possible with a story, a powerful story. And also introduce movement. Something is happening in the beginning of your story. So we're all a part of it. All right, with that, we're going to have a great meeting tonight. We have Melissa giving her speech. Take a breath and count to 10. So it's her second project speech of level 1. Thank you for continuing on this pathway journey with us. Alexi will be doing an impromptu speech. Speaker number 2. Table topics will be hosted by Ray. Thank you, Ray, for stepping up for that. And speech evaluations by Tom and Alex, respectively. Functionary reports. Let's bring up, I believe it's Maria as our timer. All right, Maria.
Thank you, Chris. My name is Maria Kovalova, and I am timer. What is similar between Nebula and Toastmasters? It's time. It's time. Nebula. So today I'm a timer. We have 2 devices, the old style and new style. I will use both. So we to make it clear. So the app by Toastmasters, it has speech, table talk, and evaluation. And for speech, we have 5 for green, 5 minutes for green, 6 minutes for yellow, and please don't go there, red, 7 minutes. For table topics, we have 1 minute for green, 1.5 minutes for yellow, and red, it's 2 minutes. For evaluations, we have 2 minutes for green, 2.5 minutes for yellow, and 3 minutes for red. So please be as respectful as Nebula. Yes, with time.
All right, perfect.
you.
Thank you, Maria. Appreciate that. Now, when I think of nebula, I think of Star Trek, just like a nebulous area, nebula, cloud, some sort of gas. So it's an interesting word to use. I'm sure it has many different contexts. All right, so thank you for that. And for our speaker tonight, Melissa, and anyone here in the room, I've also found it helpful to download the Toastmasters timer app. It actually stays awake and live when you're going. You can set it for 5 to 7 minutes. You can place it in front of you. And you'd be surprised how on point you are when you kind of can see your time right in front of you and you see the colors changing as well along the way.
I didn't know
I
it
need-
wasn't.
There is, so download it. There's like 2 that I think some Toastmaster engineers just made and they're free. So download that. She'll do it. You'll have it up here and we'll try to get them to replace the batteries up there. So we actually have that clock working as well. All right. Our second functionary, our awe counter is Sharad. Awe counter Sharad, please welcome him.
Thank you, Chris. So I'm the expert of odds and ums, so I thought I'd be perfect for this role. But I've been working on it. So I'll be counting odds, ums, things like that. Whatever your filler word is or whatever, when you get nervous or something. Highly recommend using a pause instead of like a filler word. And for more practice, I mentioned this before, but you guys can go to Udemy and record yourself, and it helps you count your odds and ums if you want to improve. So yeah, just watch out your ums, and I'll be counting them. Thank you.
Sharad. Well, it was probably a bit subconscious for us, but you see how we all chuckled when he kind of made a jest, about himself. There's humility there. He talked about he's the master of the ums and the ahs, and we're like, oh. So that is a technique, right? If you're doing it and you're honest about it, and you're looking vulnerable in front of your audience, they actually appreciate that, and it draws them in. So good job doing that, whether it was something you did intentionally or not. But it is a speaking technique that we can be aware of. Okay. Yeah. Just like how you're like, oh, people think I'm a jock. Right? You're like, but I'm really not. I'm a really deep guy. So and I'm going, yeah, you can be fit and really smart. Those two can come together, right? All right. So grammarian Arun, come on up here, please.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters. So I'll be the grammarian for today. The role of a grammarian is to improve the vocabulary and the language for the Toastmasters. I'll be keeping a note of any mispronunciations, incorrect sentences, and also keep a note of any good phrases that we have used over the course of this speeches. And I'll report back on that at the end of this meeting. All
right, thank you. Still remember you trying to remember the address that Lincoln did a long time. Gettysburg Address, I believe, right? Thinking this will be easy, no big deal. One day, maybe you'll do that for a speech, a compressed version, just a little bit. Okay, our last one before we get into all the fun, general evaluator, Alexi. Alexi, welcome back. I think you signed up for general evaluator. Your name is on there. Yep.
So I signed for it before I signed for the speech and have no choice now. So the general evaluator, I will evaluate today's meeting, just what's going good, what's going wrong, maybe some areas to improve, and what's really good for us, and what was effective, what's not. That's just brief description of my function today.
Thank you, Alexi. Appreciate that. Okay, so as we prepare for Melissa to come up, let's please bring up the PDF of her PowerPoint slide. And Melissa can just kind of, ask Chirag to proceed with the slides potentially. I don't think we have a clicker at this time.
I was gonna ask about that. I can
Or-
Yeah.
We'll see, we'll see.
Or we may be able to take this laptop and put it here. And then we want to also take the cursor and get it out of the middle of the screen.
Yeah.
So it's not distracting.
Really quick, don't we go over the table topics as well?
We don't typically do that. I mean, maybe sometimes we ask about the nature of the questions tonight, or the prompts, but usually it's kind of a surprise, which makes it even more exciting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't explain the table topics role?
When you're up,
Oh,
when you're up, yeah.
okay. Interesting.
But while we're doing that, why don't we have Ray come on up? He can talk about. Hey, we're all here to practice and get better, so
Chris.
I like that, keeping me accountable. I like that. Let's do that. Buys us some more time.
All right. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Today I'll be the topics master. It's my first time doing this, so I'm excited for it. Table topics, for those that don't know, it allows us to develop our skills of impromptu speaking and gives us some training on how to organize and express our thoughts clearly and quickly. It's sort of like a mini speech, right? So it has an opening and a body and a conclusion. And again, I think it just gives us a good opportunity to think on our feet. It should be 1 to 2 minutes and try not to go over 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Ray. We always look forward to that. We encourage our guests online and any of our members that don't have roles tonight, or those that do, please come on up here. And I hate table topics because I don't know what I want to say or what I'm going to say and how I'm going to fill that 1 to 2 minutes. But if you hate it, you should probably be doing it. Right? That's the medicine. All right, looks like we're ready. Everything is prepped. Let's welcome Melissa up with her speech. Take a breath and count to 10. There's no one behind you, so take your time and enjoy the
All
moment.
right. Well, I thought Alexi was going.
Okay. See you.
Okay, so don't start the timer yet. And thank you for smiling because it definitely helps it be a little bit easier.
They give it all the time.
If you want. Sometimes that happens for me. Before we start, there was something I was gonna ask and now I've already forgotten. Oh, no, it was what I was gonna respond to what you said. The advice of when you don't want to do it is when you do it. we have a sticky note in our house that says what is it, Ray? It's when you don't want to the most is when you need to the most. So, and he told me that, I think last week, and that's why I signed up. So also because of Tom, but yeah, so, you know, because Tom was convincing last week. So, okay, I'm ready. All right. Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm Melissa, and today my speech is entitled Take a Breath and Count to 10. And we're going to talk about some ways to respond to our anger versus react to our anger. So how was anger handled in your home? Was there yelling, screaming, swearing, hitting, silent treatment? Did people walk away and just not resolve their problems, just brush things under the rug just to keep the peace? So think for a minute about some of the ways that anger was handled in your house. And we'll go to the next slide. Sorry. So whatever you grew up with is referred to as your family of origin. So whatever you do when someone cuts you off in traffic or if someone yells at you, whatever that knee-jerk response is, you were programmed to do that in your family of origin. So unless you stop and realize you don't like that behavior, you're gonna do you'll most likely do what was done in your home. Changing that, we think sometimes that we are who we are and I'm an angry person and this is just what I have to do. But actually like I've talked about before in my last speech, we have the ability to make a change to our personality, make a change to how we react to something or respond to it. And then I was gonna also say, don't forget self-compassion. And that was in there because when we do want to make changes, we have to be compassionate with ourselves because changes are slow and incremental, and it's hard when we want to do something differently that we're not proud of doing. So self-compassion is important. And why is this important to me? So I grew up with an unhealthy model of anger. A lot of the things on that list were done in my house growing up. And as a parent, my goal is to raise kids who are better than me in like every way possible. I want them to have a lot of tools. I want them to know how to do hard things. And the skill of responding to your anger is a really important skill to have. And seeing how our modeling, once Ray and I decided that this was something that was important to us, that we wanted to model like healthy ways of showing anger. Once we saw how it was affecting our kids, I decided I wanted to do a little more research. So I'll tell a quick story and have my daughters up here because it started with them. So after school, my kids were playing together. It was the end of the day. They were tired and cranky. And my oldest said something like, you know, I just need a break. Like, I'm feeling mad. I don't want to play right now. My younger daughter started to cry. And so I went over and was like, you know, what happened? And my oldest said, you're always telling us not to hold in our anger. And I wanted to move away because I didn't want to hurt her. So I was really happy with her answer. And I was like, great, you know, go take care of yourself. And then there's another story. So that's the first sort of thing that started the ball rolling. And then the other story is after being with my mom, my kids came home, and I think it was my youngest said, Nana told me I made her mad, but I told her I'm not in charge of her emotions. She is. So again, I was like, yay, you know, she was probably 5 at the time. So like we worked really hard to let them know that they are not responsible. We are not responsible for anyone's emotions but our own. So those are sort of the powerful stories that helped me know that I really wanted to continue to research anger. Oh, thank you. So we all know anger is an emotion. And until I was an adult, I don't think I realized that emotions were neither right nor wrong. They are just spontaneous responses with chemicals in our brain that we feel. They come and go. They don't control us. Just because we feel mad, somebody cut us off, doesn't mean we have to react in a certain way. And I chose the image of the wave because I've often heard that learning to manage emotions is a little bit like being in an ocean. You can fight the waves and sort of sputter and doggy paddle and get really tired. Or you can let the emotions flow through you and come and go and eventually learn to surf, which I'm still an amateur at that. But when you get it right and you have those tough moments and you respond well, it feels really good. So once I started to put all this together, I did a little more research on anger and I went into the physiology of it, because before we can make changes, it helps to understand what's actually happening with anger, like what is it? So I'm not talking about mild annoyances or irritations. I'm talking about all-encompassing anger when you're like actually mad. Your heart rate increases to 90 beats or above. Your blood pressure goes up. Your brain dumps cortisol into your system. And you're now in fight, flight, or freeze, which sometimes happens to us during speeches. But fight, flight, or freeze means that your primitive brain is activated. Your primitive brain is your lower brain stem. That's your oldest hardware. And that's going to be the part that is what you share with dogs, cats, reptiles. So that's in charge. Your neocortex is now shut off. Your neocortex is your higher order thinking, reasoning, logic, all the things you would want to have when problem solving that you don't get when you get really upset. I think about it like a child versus an adult. Primitive brain versus the frontal cortex. So when the amygdala is firing on your primitive brain is firing, your frontal cortex, the adult, can't take over and do its job. Logic and reasoning can't happen when our primitive brain is activated, which means now what do we do? So there's a lot of research out there, and I brought up the Gottmans. They do a lot of research on couples and parenting, and they have a lot of books out. And they're clinical research or researchers, which means anything that they put out to the public or write about has been clinically researched and proven in their lab. They found that it takes 20 minutes to reset or for the cortisol to stop flooding your system before you can begin problem solving. So what can you do? The first thing is notice. And what I mean by that is, where do you physically feel your emotion or your anger? Might sound nebulous, but feeling where your anger starts is the starting point. So for some of us, you feel it in your jaw gets tense. Some of you, your shoulders get tense. So recognizing where it physically happens in your body is the first step. Second would be to excuse yourself. So with my kids, if I can't leave because I'm cooking dinner, I might say, I need a minute, like you're safe, I'm here. I'll put in my AirPods and like listen to a song or something like that. If it's Ray and I might say, let's come back to this at a later date and we'll schedule it like adults, which feels really good. And then third, take care of yourself. So this is where the introspection comes in. You have to learn what it is you need. Do you like to read? Do you like to go outside? Sometimes just changing rooms from one physical space to another helps. Listening to music or podcasts, journaling, and then my favorite is the 5 senses grounding activity where you go through your 5 senses to ground yourself, and that helps me reset. Okay, so the saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, is not true. I don't think it's true. Words hurt a lot, and we often hurt those that we love the most. So that's why it's an important skill for me. So I would ask you, what changes would you make? Whether your baseline is like you think you do pretty well, but there's always room for improvement. So you may not be yelling or screaming, but there's always a place that we can be better. The positive effects of managing your emotions carries over far from family relationships into professional relationships and everywhere else. So, okay, thanks guys.
Crushed it.
A little over though.
Wow, that's okay. I think we were all enthralled with the content, and to be frank, I think that first slide, I was like, wow, those checkbox, everything that happened to me when I was younger. And I probably still do half of them now in my own family. And it made me want to just read all the books and get better and not get angry and then say, I love you, and go back and forth and back and forth, and have that emotional maturity, right, in our families, but then also that can transfer over to working with coworkers or managing teams and many other things. So very interesting. It reminds me that we can have slides. Visuals are helpful. When I first started with the club in 2019, everyone had slides, and people would use slides as a crutch, and they would just read their slides to us, but I think use them as a very nice guide. It was high level, not too much. It was readable, and we weren't getting lost in the content. And you really sprinkled in some nice anecdotes around your daughters and their wisdom and what they're learning, and using it against their grandmother in a way by telling her that, her thinking, I don't know about that little girl, but understand that that's the truth. So let's please spend 2 to 3 minutes to give Melissa all the feedback you'd like to give her. Of course, she did many amazing things that you can highlight for her tonight. If there are any things, big or small, that you think she could do differently, in the future, in a future speech, please also drop that in there for improvements. And Wei Ling on our website, Los Gatos Toastmasters. Yeah, you'll be able to find that link.
I find it. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, let's wrap up our comments. The next 20 seconds, please. Okay, next we'll welcome up the master of improvisational speaking, Alexei. He is no stranger. He probably feels fear, but we don't know it. He always has an interesting topic that he comes up with. So get your thinking caps on and open up your listening ears. Alexei is here to wow us tonight.
I feel anger, but I control it. Thanks to Melissa. By the way, this topic very close to me, and just really want to say big thank you. Yes, brought lots of memories, especially those who come from an environment where natural reaction is kind of aggressive. And it's just pattern of behavior, and all of a sudden you see you have to change it when you move to other place all the time, and we just have to change it. If those who've been to Eastern Europe, you know, you come there, first what I hear when you come from America, why are you smiling? What's so funny? No, I don't know. Really, that's kind of, each time I had to go through this switch. Okay, just before we start the clock, my topic is healthy habits in our life and healthy lifestyle. This is a Q&A session, so I'm trying to practice answering questions during presentation and try to accommodate on recommendations from my previous two presentations. Mostly I tend to deviate from the topic or go into lengthy explanations, where in a presentation time to answer a question is very limited and should be strictly formalized.
5 to 7 minutes.
Yes, same time, yeah, again. So you're welcome to interrupt me. This is part of my practice, asking any question, including provocative, stop it, whatever. It's all part of the exercise for me. So previous time I was not quite clear probably, so people waiting to the end, and in the end we ran out of time, of course. So feel free, it's not like my purpose not to come to the end of my presentation or impress you with my knowledge, to practice answering questions and various, including pleasant, unpleasant, whatever. Of course, Maria.
Let's start it already. So Q&A session basically goes after the presentation. So let's pretend the presentation was done, right? And we can...
No, this is a presentation real life when you don't have a formal environment, CEO staying on the podium and everybody's listening, where people can interrupt, can ask questions just because I want to. Yes. Q&A, not formal in terms of you ask questions, you simulate situation when people interrupt, people ask, people express doubts, people don't believe.
Let's go. You ready? Let's go, yeah.
Let's go. So today's topic of my today's presentation is healthy lifestyle, healthy habits. Let's first talk why it is important. Why it is important at all? Why we talk about health so much nowadays? Main reason because our environment changed comparatively to previous generations, even not going long time ago, just 50, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, even 20 years ago. Lots of change. So new technologies come into our life, improve it a lot, make it easier. But there is always price to pay. This kind of easy stuff is something that we often program it to do by our structure, by Mother Nature. And plus, we change our lifestyle a lot. Just we don't have a choice. Many of us work at desk, right? Desk work, meaning you sit a lot, you sit in front of computers. That's not natural for our body. So, and to make money, you have to do it. Now, there is no one magic, of course, Chris.
Yeah, just curious, speaking about different time periods, and maybe different areas of the world, what was an active lifestyle like about 100 years ago versus what it is now?
Short answer, 80 years ago, 70 years ago, beginning of 20th century, 80% of population were farmers everywhere in all countries around the globe, in America too. So farm work meaning active lifestyle, exercises every day, just non-stop around the clock. You cannot take a break with livestock over the cornfield. So that's the main change for us. So desk job were mostly for selected few, even those at desk job traveled by foot, by horse, by bicycle to work. Driving cars is just recent development. Any other questions?
Just
Sure, you're
one
welcome.
more question, I think. Sean
Just
has
one more question, please.
Just one more. Just about, speaking of like health, overall health, what about sleep patterns for that time versus now? What was the sleep pattern and cadence like?
Oh, this is an excellent question because time management, as we know today, is relatively recent when we got this watch, clocks everywhere, digital media, electricity. Before that, life and sleep was pretty much followed daylight. People were going to bed when sun is down, waking up when sun is up. And actually dictated how long people sleep, and it's very matching our biological pattern. Now with electricity, it's all changed. So you're welcome. What's your question?
Sure.
So
what was
sure.
the diet like? What did they eat? The farmers.
Not necessarily farmers. I can tell you, for example, just bring example from my own childhood. I'm just not 100 years ago, just not long time ago. Processed food again is relatively recent. Now, when I was a kid, and just not a really young man, but comparatively to nowadays here in California, Bay Area specifically, it was all unhealthy. Lots of fat food, lots of baked food, meat, but it was no natural and organic. Reason there was no non-organic. Second, lifestyle. Many people had their own natural products, their own gardens, like small properties, and they were growing stuff. Pretty much most of families has their own organic supply all year round. Nowadays, we mostly eat processed food. And processed food made for supermarkets in order to keep shelf life long for products. That's the biggest difference. You're welcome.
Yeah, I recognize my anger, actually.
Of course, anger is important. It's protective mechanism.
Because I don't think it's true that we can brush with such a huge strokes that previously was just the organic or there was no organic. In my childhood, for example, and I think, yeah.
Otman, just please keep it short because we have a short meeting. Yeah.
Okay. So I think it's a matter of choice, what we choose to eat. It's not about, that time was this kind of products, groceries, and this time we have only processed food, mostly processed food. It's a choice that we can make.
Absolutely, if you have a choice. Not to forget, not everybody has a choice. We often confuse more wealthy and healthy environment with less wealthy and healthy. It's enough to go to less fortunate area not far from here, and you see the difference. The reason is people just don't have enough money for healthy organic food, period. Paycheck is not enough. They eat whatever they can afford for that paycheck. And you don't need to go too far, just a little bit out of Bay Area, certain areas, right, with much lower salaries. Speaking of the nowadays versus past, in the past, there were not that much of processed food, technologies were not there. Now it's everywhere. It does not serve us as a customer. There are lots of discussion about it in the society. They serve process chain in order to keep food fresh on a shelf in a supermarket. Otherwise, these huge networks just cannot function. Otherwise, we need to switch back to local bakeries, but they're more expensive, period. It's all a matter of economy. If everybody is rich, enough resources for everybody, no problem. Not to forget that hunger was a reality for big parts of the world up to World War II. And only these processed food, etc., technologies, they help us to overcome it. So there is no like good or bad. It just every good has its own downside. Just an example, I can bring it like there was these discussions several years ago, some time ago, in the United Nations. And there were people talking about healthy, unhealthy, etc., genetically modified food. And representative from Africa, several of them, stepped forward and said, hey guys, hold on. You don't understand. We're not talking about healthy food. We just need food because people do not have it where we came from. So there is reality check too. And reality check means we have limited resources in this world. They're not all available for everybody. So we need certain technologies to move forward, but with these technologies come certain side effects, which is processed food is less healthy. Any other questions? We coming to the end of this meeting. So last question, if somebody has it, you're welcome. Yes.
So do we also look into the more information about good choices, right? For instance, we are aware of the role of fitness, or maybe what are the more nutrient ingredients, and that would inform us to be more healthy, right? Rather than
Absolutely.
less.
Yeah, absolutely. There are lots of advices, what is healthier, what is better, just listen to it. But my point is there is no one size fit all. Listen to all of them and pick up your own path that fits you, specifically you. Does not mean that it works for everybody. What's good to one, not necessarily good for another. There are many examples, but we ran out of time. We'll continue next time.
All right. Good job.
Guys, I'd like to thank you for these questions because that's exactly my big point.
The audience is ripping you apart there. Oh my gosh. No, great job, Alexei. Great job. You came off as knowledgeable. You didn't hesitate, if any, when you were on random questions, and you knew your topic. You were like a human LLM, like you really just like you just knew exactly what you wanted to say. So good job. I think it's a bit unconventional to have people randomly asking questions in a presentation. I think in most situations that would be rude to do that, but usually the presenter would go for 1/3 or a certain topic, and then I'm going to pause here and see if anyone has any questions. Maybe take one. Okay, let's move on. Or the way I'm used to is at the very end, try to save 10 to 15 minutes to wrap up any themes or something that were overlooked. But for the sake of the exercise, I was happy to kick it off, because I think if that didn't happen, we would all kept listening to what you had to say, because we're trying to take in the information enough to even have questions about it. So think about that next time. But I think it went well, and you spoke most of the time, that was the intent of the exercise.
It's a pure for the purpose of the exercise.
Mhm.
The recommendation for its master.
Yeah. There's another really fun project where someone's doing a speech, but then the audience needs to be adversarial. and disruptive and really try to throw you off. Kind of like what Maria did a little bit when she talked about, yeah, you know, I don't really agree. You know, people actually have a choice. And I think you were diplomatic with that too. You handled it well. You said, yes, I agree with that. However, these are some other things. And I do believe people have choice, but if those other things that are not good for us were not even really a choice in the market at that time, you're going to choose things that are more natural and organic from the start. Do we have a choice these days? Yes. Now, is natural food necessarily more expensive? I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe if you go like high-end organic or the best cuts of beef and meat, maybe, but I think if you're going around the perimeter of the supermarket, you could probably get all the healthy stuff you need. It's just a matter of time and convenience. And I mean, I'm no angel. Tonight we had like leftover Spanish rice and mac and grapes and some chicken from last night. And I was like, I gotta go. And I was like, this is just horrible, but you know, we'll try it again tomorrow, right? All right, everybody. Thank you. Now I think we're gonna go on. We're gonna give Alexi some feedback over the next 1 to 2 minutes. Let's do that. Okay, we're gonna wrap up our comments, and Mei Ling, we do have about 11 or 12 people in the room tonight, so I know usually you can see everybody and see the energy, but tonight you're really looking at the speaker here and you're looking at yourself. But want to highly encourage that you participate in this activity. Also, Alex or anyone else that has not participated formally tonight, this is your time to get up here and get uncomfortable with us. And with that, we're gonna welcome our table topics master, Ray Thomas, up tonight. He told us what it is to be a table topics master. Now he's gonna tell us what we're gonna talk about.
All right,
Welcome.
thank you, Chris.
Of course.
Hello, everyone. So today I've got 5 questions and I'd like to invite somebody up here and just pick one randomly. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on these questions. And again, this is an opportunity for us to practice our impromptu speaking, thinking on our feet. So who wants to go first?
Don't raise your hand at once.
Maria, yeah, please come on.
All right, Maria.
You know that I'm not abusing my authority. We will start.
I can speak if you want,
I can-
if you wish.
Thank you.
Again, it should be 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, so question 1 through 5, you just want to pick randomly?
Uh,
Yeah, right,
One.
that's good. Camera's there. Yeah. Number 1?
one.
Okay, if you could recommend only one book to your peers, which book would it be and why?
Well, today today and the past several months, I'm not interested in anything else but conscious parenting. And thank you, Melissa, for bringing the topic. And I'm double as excited to say that my book to be recommended to parents and all the parented adults. And since we're here, we will parenting somehow, is a book, The Conscious Parent by Dr. Shalali. It's light, it's deep, it's not as traumatic as another book that I would recommend. I am reading them both. They are complementary. The Body Keeps the Score. It's about trauma and it's quite heavy. The Conscious Parent, that's the book I would recommend.
Thank you. All right, The Conscious Parent. Let's all write that down. Okay, Alex, please come on up. Nice to see you again.
You as well, Ray.
All right, go ahead and take the podium. So questions 2 through 5.
Let's go with 4.
With 4. Okay. Oh, this would be a good one for you. If we learn from our mistakes, why are we always so afraid to make a mistake?
So I can't really relate to this because I feel like with me, I've made so many mistakes that I'm not afraid to make any more mistakes. Especially if they're positive ones and healthy ones for my life. But if I were to answer that for someone else, I would probably say because those mistakes may have hurt them so bad that they're stuck in a place of fear where they're afraid to attempt that, whether it's with exercise or public speaking. It could have been a bad speech. I know for me, it's like I still do worry to this day, and I've noticed that 90% of my worries usually end up working out, and I'm worrying for nothing. So, to those people that are struggling with making mistakes again, I would just say go for it, and yeah, go for the risk. They say by Ray Bradbury, living at risk is jumping off a cliff and building your wings on the way down. So yeah, this is true. Thank you.
And I think it was FDR that said the only thing to fear is fear itself. Yeah, so that's right in line.
Like a rap battle.
Sorry. All right, who's next? Sean, I think I heard you whisper you love this. Yeah. Okay, so you've got 2, 3, or 5?
I'll go with 3.
3. What does the American dream mean to you? Nice. Who's doing the timer? You're doing the timer, right? Oh, hold on. Sorry. I just want to give you a second to think.
Yeah.
But I just want to preface this question with something I heard a couple of days ago. That there is no other country with the word American with the word dream after it. Right? There's no Japanese dream. There's no Russian dream. There's no England dream, right? There's no South Africa dream. It's the American dream. So again, what does the American dream mean to you?
That makes it so much harder. All right, you can start. So I'm originally from Sri Lanka. Anyone heard of Sri Lanka or where Sri Lanka is? Okay, great. Usually it's a lot of crickets, but it's an island. I actually came here when I was 10 years old, and I remember the day my mom said, "Hey, we're moving to United States." And at that time, a lot of fear came through, just because leaving all your friends. I was in, I think, 7th grade, leaving all my friends and family behind. It was very scary, right, coming here. But what I realize is more and more I live in this country, there's this thing called American dream. And I think for the most part, it was always about, creating the wealth, being rich, being fit. I think that was what I equal to what freedom was. But I think for me now, American dream is where you're being free from your own mind, right? I think one of the biggest battles I fight, I think most of us can relate, is the doubt that we all fight through. And I think American Dream is really feeling free from that doubt and just not being slave to the mind. So I think for me, I think that gave me a lot of context. I think giving that opportunity. So I think for me, it means, you know, feeling free from the doubt and being free from the mind. So thank you. Free from the mind. Do we have time for one more? Yeah, Sharon, please come on up.
I'll go with number 5, 5-star.
Yeah, 2 or 5? Number 5? Okay. What is the most defining moment of your life thus far?
There are quite a few actually I can name. But one of them, I would relate it to the American Dream. I came when I was 17, and it was after my high school exams in India. And I came here, my mom's sister had sponsored us. So we came on a green card as a family. And I didn't have any plans when we boarded the plane, we didn't have any plans. We were just coming for vacation. But then after we were here, my dad asked me whether I want to stay here or I want to go back and continue my education. And at that time, my logic was that if I'm in India and I have to move to a different city, I might as well move to the US and a different city anyway. So that's the logic I used, and it's been a very rewarding experience. Just changed me completely. I think I would be a totally different person. My sister and I sometimes talk, and we talk about, she says, what if that, what if this? And I said, if I had not come to the US, I would be a totally different person, not what I am today. So that, I would say, that was one of the most defining moments.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, great job, everyone. That was fantastic. Great questions. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So do we take time to vote now, or is that later? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody,
Maria, Alex, Sean, and Shara.
okay.
Yeah, Alex, Sean.
Oh,
Did a great job.
Make sure to hit submit then after you type it in.
All right, round of applause for Ray, please.
Yeah.
Great job, Ray, first time. Table topics master. It's fun not being on the spot, but coming up with the prompts and having other people be on the spot and just be delighted by what they say and what they share and the context that we all have. And I think as a native born to the States here, I take all that for granted, one language, like, oh, this is what I know. And, and it's like everyone's coming here for a reason, whether it's climate or whether it's opportunity or to escape from something or to seek more prosperous times for their family. So, yeah, those are deep questions. Surprising people can come up with something like this in about 10 to 15 seconds that is meaningful. All right, so with that, we're going to start to wrap up our meeting a little bit. We're going to have our first evaluator come up and talk about Melissa's speech. I believe that will be Tom Bartese. Welcome up.
Chris. Melissa, thank you for your speech this evening. Very interesting and informative. The tale of a good speech is when it holds my interest the entire time, and your speech did that. Reacting versus responding to anger. It's something that I think about all the time, and I'm sure it's a topic that a lot of us think about, and so it held my interest the whole time. Well done. What did you excel at? Very well organized speech. I mean, you could tell from your slides, you put a lot of thought into this presentation, and it came through with your with the entire speech. We felt that I could follow along easily, and the slides didn't get in the way. Now, I was a little concerned when you were setting up with Chirag and you didn't have a way to sort of go through the slides. And I thought to myself, this could get a little weird. The first slide or two, a little choppy, but after that, it was seamless. You guys were in sync. And yeah, I didn't even notice it after the first or second slide. So well done to both of you. Slides, as Chris mentioned, were perfect, not too much content, just the right. They were very professional looking. A lot of times the big issue is we're overwhelmed with content on the slides and we're just lost between what we're hearing and what we're seeing. But you just bullet points, perfect. I like the black background, a little different, and that resonated well with me. So very well done, and thank you for putting the time in for doing that. Delivery seemed very authentic. I could tell this was a topic that you were very interested in and had a passion for. You were very poised throughout. I wrote down you had the confidence of a college professor. I felt like, no, seriously, you were very, it seemed like you knew what you were talking about, and very confident, and yeah, total delivery, hand gestures, eye contact, pacing, everything was done very well. Notes. When I talked to you before the meeting, you said, well, I haven't really worked on this much. I might have to lean on the slides as my notes, and I didn't get that impression at all. You seem like you're very well prepared. You didn't get lost in thought. The only time you really looked at your slides were when you came to that one slide, the steps to follow, and you sort of walked us through it, but that was very appropriate. The rest of the time you sort of glanced up, and you definitely weren't like, okay, where am I now? So very well done there. And the highlight for me was I was hoping, boy, I hope there's a story in here somewhere, and boom, you came in with the story. I go, oh yeah, there we go. And I particularly liked the story with your daughter and her comment to her Nana. That was a little humor, and that was really well done. But when you gave the story, the engagement level went up a lot higher. So well done there. Okay. What can you work on? I thought the conclusion was a little brief. I was interested, listening, you sticks and stones, and all of a sudden that was it. Okay, I'm done, guys, type of thing. Maybe one last slide where you just have the title of speech again, take a breath and count to 10. Just that's all you have on the slide as a way, and just say, hey, let's remember, take a breath and count, or something along those lines, just sort of just the icing on the cake. So the conclusion was a little brief. Second point to work on, and this applies to everybody, we're all doing our pathways. At the beginning, at least tell us, hey, this is project 2 of my level 1 pathways, and the purpose or the objective of this particular assignment is X. I don't know what it was, but it helps as the audience, it helps us to frame it in that context of, okay, and to see if you met the objective, right? So that's something not just for you, but for all of us. Okay, what would I challenge you on? You made mention of your childhood, but you seemed like you glossed over it pretty quickly. And understandably, maybe that's very painful for you. But as Chris had mentioned with Matthew Dix, we have these 5-second moments of change, right? And that was your opportunity to sort of double down a little bit, to really take it to the next level. It really would have added, just to have an anecdote of your childhood that you're comfortable with. And again, assuming that you can draw something that's not so painful, you don't want to talk about it. But if you're giving this speech again and you're trying to make an impression maybe with a younger audience or something, that's an opportunity for you to really build in some contrast between your childhood and how you're raising your kids, right? So give some thought to just, 1 or 2 sentences. Hey, I remember one day when I came home in 3rd grade and this was happening or that was happening. Again, understanding it may be painful, so see if there's something in there, but it would allow for a greater contrast between your childhood and what you're doing with your children. Other than that, fantastic speech. Like I said, college professor here.
Appreciate that. Feedback. Can all learn and grow from every speech. And it's a good point. We can have an ending and a turning point, but there's a lot of stories that can be the beginning. And we usually go with the first one that comes to mind. But a true pro can take time and brainstorm. Which one should I pick? Which one's going to resonate the best? And to really show the arc of the story. Right. And so something to think about. All right. So for this next one, we're going to give, I believe, 2 or 3 quick commentaries and feedbacks for, Alexi, excuse me. Alex for Alexi. Is that what's happening? Okay. Alex, coming up here, please. Welcome, Alex Sandoval. And we'll give a evaluation for Alexi.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. So I don't have the evaluation sheet, but I did just jot down some feedback. First off, I want to say, Alexi, since I've met you, you've been able to give speeches on the fly. You always have one in the chamber. That's a good thing. And I wrote this down. You're on your way to giving more speeches than there are nebulas in the sky. Yeah. This is all from Toastmasters. This I'm telling you comes from here. So, but yes, Alexi, also too, I wanted to just say that I admire your bravery for coming up here. Not only you, but all of the men and women here from a third world country. Because I know for me, it's very hard to come up here, and I speak pretty good English. So I commend all of you for that. And Alexi, again, you as well. What I've noticed since I've been gone is you're more alive now. I see a lot of hand gestures, more eye contact, a little more volume. Again, better eye contact. You're very creative with the speeches. What I suggest working on, like everybody, filler words. I think yours is ugh. I heard that quite a few times. Another thing too is focus on full sentences. I heard you say meat bad, and it should be like the meat was bad. So just full sentences. Again, other than that, I don't really have much. I just recommend continuing to sharpen your craft. Again, it may keep growing a little, be a little bit more alive, more hand gestures, more walking the floor and stuff like that. So yeah, stuff like that. I need to work on it. I thought it too. But anyways, Alexi, great job. Continue to keep that.
All right. Hey, Alex, appreciate that. Okay, we're gonna land this bird here and we're gonna go with Maria, our timer. So please come on up. How do we do with timing? Maria?
Thank you. Great meeting. Thank you for the speeches, very engaging, very thought provocative. And both speakers were on the red zone, but we learned so much today, right? And thank you for being conscious parents, you guys, because this is the hope for future peace. And all right, no more comments. For the time, so Melissa, 7:55, and Alexei, 7:59. So it's good in red. Table topics. Thank you, Ray, for those questions. Maybe we should have, I'm not a president anymore, but maybe we should have a monthly winner for table topics award based on like 1 to 10 each time. And then because some table topics are so good. Thank you. And well, table topics, Maria, me 46 seconds. Alex 1 minute, Sean 1 and 20, and Chirac 1 minute. Tom, I forgot to time, but your evaluation was great and perfect. And Alex 1:47. So thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Appreciate that. All right, Sharad with our ums and our ahs and filler words, Sharad.
Well, it's a perfect speech, but I did notice just because I was listening that you had a lot of pause, you had good pauses, but at the end of the pause, I think there's this, I think you do something like, I think you have to listen to your, yeah, but I think it's just because I was listening, but I think just watch the video and you'll know what I'm talking about. I think there were like more than 5 of those, but that was the only thing I noticed. You didn't have any ahs and ums, but that was something I noticed, and that's because I was listening, but otherwise I would.
It's your job, it's okay.
Yeah. Alexi, one thing I'll say, I mean, I've noticed this, you have a lot of content, but you have run-on sentences. You have like 5 sentences in one shot, right? So I think you need to take a pause when you're speaking and just practice it, because I'm looking for an end in the sentence, but there's no end. Like the end doesn't come for like a few, like maybe 20-30 seconds. Just exaggerating, but I think I'm trying to convey the point. So just listen to the video and see that where your sentence stops or ends. But other than that, you use so more than 5 times. Was used 2 to 3 times, and as Alex mentioned, I think you have this or some, yeah. Alex, Maria Perfect's no arms and ahs. Alex, you were almost perfect till the end, and you had like 3 hours. So Sean, you had 4 hours. And then Tom, you had more than 5 hours. So surprisingly, and Alex, you had stuff like that in your.
Oh, yeah, old stuff like that. Thanks, Rob. I almost thought we had a bout of the giggles up here. I remember Shrog had the giggles a couple times. Those are good times when those occur. Okay, Rune, we're almost done. Rune, the grammarian.
So I think today's grammatical usage was good. So I want to maybe highlight a couple of areas where the phrases weren't as perfect. So Melissa, you mentioned about anger is like a little bit in an ocean. So I think that could have been clarified better, but that's the only point. And for Alexei, there were some areas in which the sentences were repeated, or the like, for instance, not 100 years ago, but not long ago, not 50 years ago. So there were a few areas where the meaning was kind of similar. And there are some phrases like gardens like small properties. So I wasn't clear of if it's a standard reference or not, or you're meaning to say something else. And for Maria, you had a phrase where it was thought provocative. I think it should be thought provoking. And there are a lot of good phrases that I could highlight. An interesting set of phrases like opportunity to think on our feet and improve the impromptu speaking. And then fight, flight, or freeze, that I thought was a good phrase. Then another good word was sticks and stones don't break if it doesn't break your bonds, but words do. Yeah, and obviously in some other areas, right? The only thing to fear is fear itself, and being free from your mind and doubt. And obviously the poised and confidence of a college professor, right? Like that phrase as well. Right.
Thank you, Rune. You should see the notes this guy has. He's really doing the work. Thank you, Arun. All right, Lexi, please let us know how we did tonight's general evaluator, and then I'm going to have Wei Ling let us know from a guest perspective, soon to be member perspective. So we're going to applause for Lexi, please, and then Wei Ling after that.
So I'll try to stay brief. We started a little bit late, 5 minutes missed. So just organizational questions, and the result we're a little bit late to finish. Again, next time we'll try to be on time. Pretty much good introduction. Thank you. That was good intro. Very informative, actually, and very helpful. So I'm always happy to hear, especially like Chris, Tom, communicating this type of messages in the beginning of our meetings. So we just need help, just learn new stuff or what to look for the next meeting. Roles, I believe, quite well, played quite well. Everybody described the role and what's his or her role and what it's supposed to be. Table topics, just excellent. Thank you. And just support idea. Maybe this idea, maybe we can consider like monthly winner for table topics. It really helps to stay involved in the whole meeting for everybody, not just to several presenters. We still have 2-3 maximum spots. So overall went well, and with all that said, let's pass the word to our guest.
Yeah, Wei Ling, why don't you? Thank you, Alexi. Wei Ling, please let us know what your thoughts are as I think 2 or 3, maybe 4-time guest and soon to be member. What were your thoughts on the meeting, and what are you most excited about in the future?
Yeah, I love the topics today. I love the anger control and the health and all the impromptus. I feel I'm learning both the communication skills and the life skills. So that's very good. And also this time I can hear the speakers very well compared to last time. Last time I can see most people's face, but I cannot hear well, but this time it's very clear. I love it. Yeah, I hope I can deliver my presentations as good as you guys after I join the club. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Wayne. Will you be primarily virtual, or would you like to be in person, or would you like to do a little bit of both?
Yeah, maybe a mix of both. I'm a mother. I need to take care of little kids
Yeah.
after they come back from school. So
Yeah, that's your primary job and responsibility. We respect that. And you're also a researcher, right? A scientist?
Educational researcher. Yeah.
Very good. Well, we can't wait to hear about your content and speeches, whether it's related to your profession or something else. All right, so I'll be sure to send that out to you. And also next steps, Shirag, please make sure we don't end the meeting. We're going to do the summary, the AI summary and the AI companion. Make Tom's job a little bit easier so he doesn't have to aggregate the notes and the minutes for the meeting. So we'll give that a shot. For those that did speeches tonight, please go on Basecamp and complete that project, and then look at the next one sometime this week and plan out when that third or next speech will be. And every time you complete a pathway or a level of a pathway, let us know, and then we confirm that, and then you move on. We want to see all of you complete a pathway. That would be amazing. So I think we had a great night. I'm going to close it out for the sake of time. Thank you everyone for your participation, and have a great week. We will check right now.